So obviously, you know, like I think I've just learned so much already just about, you know, mixed mask and about like the studs and the jaw and how everything played such a big part and stuff like that with the mask, which you would never know otherwise. Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, the stories of obviously Undertaker being asleep on your couch.
Yeah. Oh, Mick fell asleep as well. You know, but he fell asleep.
What's in that tea, Stanley?
What? What's in the
What's
tea?
in the tea?
It's a secret. It's a secret formula. No, I was in the back with Judy. Mick was in the front, and listening to my dad's smooth jazz. And we were playing. Judy and I was playing with color. And we came back, and Mick was snoring. He was out like a light. But yeah, it's important to make people feel comfortable. There's several people have fallen asleep in my front room. Yeah, and not because of some special thing in the tea. Maybe there is some special thing in the tea. Yeah, yeah.
No, of course. So obviously, you've spoken about the Undertaker mask. You've spoken about the Mankind mask. Was it true that you were also asked to be involved with Kane's mask? And also, obviously, we've got probably a story to talk about of the Sultan as well, the character.
Oh yeah. Okay. So after Mick, they approached me with the Sultan mask.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "No, this does not work. Here's why."
Mm-hmm.
The guy can't breathe. Okay, he won't be able to breathe. The thing sticks out. For wrestling, when you're all the movements that can happen, it'll get in the way too. And so they let me put some air vents in the front, but I had to cover them up with like cloth, which makes them. And everybody knows how easy it is to breathe through a cloth mask. Everybody in the world.
We can all feel that right now.
Yeah. Okay, so imagine pro wrestling in that,
Yeah.
And the design you see, they insisted I make their designer's design. And you see all the prep I did for Mick, as well as Mark. They wanted their design, and I told him it wouldn't work. But I did the best I could to make it. I fitted it. They were excited, and of course, it didn't work. His character, because it had nothing to do with him.
No.
There's nothing that matched his energy. It was a concept out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Then it was worse. Then it got worse. There was the silver helmet, which they changed to turquoise for Ron Simmons.
Yeah. Ron
Simmons was so pleased that I was his mask maker, and it wasn't a mask; it was
a helmet.
It was a helmet, And I said, "Oh fuck," I tried. It kind of worked in silver. As soon as they changed it to turquoise,
yeah.
No, and again, it had nothing to do. My God, what I could have done for Ron if I was actually able to work like I worked with Chris Park or Travis Hefner, Abyss or Madness. It's a real difference,
Yeah.
But they said they know what they're doing. Okay. Well, then they came to me with Kane. I looked at it, and they wanted me to make it in 2 weeks. And I kind of knew they had somebody that was contacting them, was really wanting to make masks for them, and was bidding a really cheap price, or it sounded like it, just from little hints, that they told me, but and I looked at the design and I said, no, and I sketched, what it should be. One, because he had this, I think, little slot to breathe through.
Yeah.
And then the nose was kind of okay, but it doesn't change character. It doesn't allow to change character. It might be successfully marketed, and people might buy it, but it doesn't change character. It's no Mick Foley.
No.
It's no Undertaker masks. They both were able to change character, and of course, it seemed like every 2 or 3 weeks, whoever, when you interview the mask maker, I say, give him congratulations, because, he remade that thing every 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. A new one, which,
Well, I believe from doing research for this segment, it was actually made by an S&M company.
S&M company.
Yeah,
okay.
S&M company who didn't specialize in masks other than the leather kind for any other reasons. So I believe that's where it came from. But I mean, that for Kane's mask, that just goes to show it. It didn't stand the test of time. He went through about 5 or 6 different masks in his career. all different designs, all different shapes and everything. And there was just one Mankind mask. There was just one Undertaker mask.
Right.
Kane's still changing his now.
Well,
it's still being changed. They finally got close to my design. About a year and a half later.
Wow. Okay.
About a year.
Was yours kind of like a cutout?
The half mask. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a 3/4. That's called a 3/4 mask.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. No. Half mask is like kind of above the jawline. 3/4 includes the jaw.
Yeah.
So it's a 3/4 mask. 3/4 masks are great. Because they're easy to work with.
Yeah.
And then they actually added some character around the eyebrows, and so I said, yeah, it needs a little character. And, one thing, they've had a lot of practice. They've had a lot of practice because they've made so many. And so the more you make, the better you get, the more you understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it actually came from an S&M company.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, I mean,
that was great.
I think I think speaking obviously to what you just said then as well around like the it has to make sense for the characters and stuff. Like you can see with Ron Simmons who he went on to be, his different characters and who he was, that kind of helmet thing, and especially making it turquoise just didn't work. And then also for the Sultan, he went on to be like a dancing guy called Rikishi who did a stink face, for example. So you can tell from a personality standpoint it just didn't fit, and I think that's absolutely the missing thing.
Yeah. No, you need to really, part of my job as a designer of masks and creator is pulling that information out of people. Figuring out how to get it out, how to open them up. And if I give any advice to people, it's like, stop looking at every mask on the internet, okay, that every other mask maker has made, and concentrate on your personality, what you care about, what moves you, the energy, because there's some people that say everything has already been created in the world, so nothing is new. That allows you to freely steal everybody else's shit. Okay. Okay. If that were true, we'd still be rubbing 2 sticks together and butt naked.
Yeah.
Okay. No. You want to go for original, unique. You want to go for yourself. You want to go to, help make the world a better place. Amongst all this, creation. You want to bring joy, some joy to people. You want those people, that had a hell of a week, that sit down and turn on the TV or go to the ring. You want their problems to disappear while you're on stage. Okay, that's part of it. And so you can be original. It takes a little longer. you go through frustration, you go through angst, you go through questioning. But if you approach it with no fear and freedom, you come upon some wonderful stuff. And the Kane mask, the last version I saw, which I think was recent, is like, it was like a mask over another mask, and it worked really well, so they eventually got it. It took them at least a year and a half, and then they've continued to improve. So, they were great. I'm not sorry in the least I turned down, because it landed with the people that should make it. Mm-hmm. They wanted that, but it's the original. It's like when I get wrestlers coming to me and talking about a gimmick. I wish people who teach wrestling would drop the word gimmick, because it misses it. Mm-hmm. It misses what Mick did. Yeah. Mick was not a gimmick. That's, and so if you forget about gimmick and do honesty, and real stuff, it's like, look at, you have all these characters in the world, and they're all different. Their personalities, they have quirks, So if everybody's just a super strong, tough guy, theatrically, that's a monotone. Mm-hmm. And when you have that monotone, what happens, that monotone keeps on coming. And what's the audience doing? The audience is going like this. Mm-hmm. Because it's the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's part of the theatrics. And it doesn't matter how many pyrotechnics you blow off. Okay, it's not as dramatic as Mick coming out from underneath the ring or Sacco coming out.
Yeah,
which is stupid, totally stupid, and joyful, and
unforgettable.
And unforgettable. And a kid can put a sock on his hands and steal his mother's lipstick, and play, because it's that play.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, with you mentioning the sort of essentially the difference between someone coming along and thinking gimmick rather than building on their character and their personality. Yeah. Have you ever found any too many scenarios where you're asked to design a mask and their vision is more gimmick and quite far away from your vision? And how do you sort of compromise your artistic vision to sort of say what their mentality is on that sort of gimmick that they might be trying to go for?
Yeah, most people, I'm able to work through that. Sometimes it takes time.
Yeah.
Not all of them, not everybody, but most people, I'm able to work through all that, Mm-hmm. And part of it is because what I'll do is I'll sketch and I'll email them a sketch, and they tell me what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And sometimes I do several different concepts, and I'll email with 5, 6, 7, 8 different mask concepts. Sometimes I'll get it on the first shot.
Yeah.
But it is basically asking and listening. Is there a formula? Not really, because each person is different.
Of course.
There's certain stages I go through. One is having them list what they care about, things about color, things about emotion, things about history. Where does this character come from? Where was he born? Was he born? It's like, what, what's the history, and getting people into thinking from that stage, kind of opens things up. Where it messes up is when they start looking on the web, on Etsy and all these other places.
Yeah.
I want this piece like this and this piece like this, and it's like, and it becomes oatmeal's more interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Both visually and texturally, you know. Yeah.
So obviously with Mick then, so obviously we've spoken about how, you know, that mask was really that you know, at least in my opinion, that's what kind of helped elevate him, you know, into becoming a world champion. You know, he wasn't able to do that with his other personas and so on and so forth. And obviously we know, you know, we've spoken around, you know, he did mention you in his book. Like what's your relationship like with Mick today, you know, off the back of, you know, the success that you've been able to bring to his career?
Well, after that last fitting, I never saw Mick. You know, after he left, I got a call or an email or some chat thing from a guy called the Real Mick Foley asking about, could I make him a Mankind mask? And I wrote, Mick, is this you? And then the line went dead, you know. You know, and I think there's some contractual stuff between Mick and the WWF or World Wildlife Federation or Fund or, you know, or whatever. You know. By the way, the World Wildlife Fund, friends say, it is a wonderful organization, you know. You know, and if I could ever make another Mankind mask, I think I would do it as a fundraiser for the World Wildlife Fund. You know, but you know, in the interview that nobody can find, you know, you know, Mick apologized for what he wrote in the book, kind of. You know, and then he said that, you know, he said, I have some breaking news, you know, and he said, without me, there would have been no Mankind mask. There would have been no Mankind character, and his career would have been much shorter. You know, of course, I think WWE made sure nobody will ever see that. You know, him say that. You know,
which it's a real shame, but I'm glad he did, because you know that is nothing but true. You know,
yeah, it's true, fully true.
You know, you know, whether it's true or not, look at, I created a mask that freed him, and if I had to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, I probably would have made the mask with the 5-inch lock on the neck. Okay, you know, you know, when I saw Mick in this weird thing that, you know, you know, let's say, you know, there's a book called by moral philosopher Harry G. Frankfurt. It's called On Bullshit. It talks about what is bullshit and what is not. And let's say I was bullshitted into doing something, you know, and I did it. And let's say the crap I've gone through has not been worth it, you know. Okay. But when I saw Mick, we were joyful. We had fun.
Yeah.
So in some ways, my relationship with Mick, you know, and the interview that disappeared, he told me, oh, that never happened. You know, so,
yeah.
You know, but you see, when I make a mask, you know, I'm bad at lying. I can't lie worth shit. You know, I can bullshit, you know, fun-wise, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I can make up the craziest lie and make people believe it, but if I actually have to lie, I can't do it. Yeah. It's just, that's not how I'm made. You know, I like sleeping at night, you know, you know, and so I couldn't have made the mask with a 5-inch lock, which wasn't even designed, you know, it's, okay. Or the Silence of the Lamb mask. And it had, you know, bars over his entire face. His jaw wouldn't have moved. And there's locks like in like 3 or 4 of them. I couldn't have made that. I wouldn't let myself make it, you know. So you have to do your best. You put it out, and how people react, what people do, it's on them.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on them. You know, it's like you know, after what I went through over the last 6 months, you know, with them, it's like, let's say it hasn't left a pretty taste in my mouth. You know, it's like, you know, it's like, but what he wrote in the book, when I saw what he wrote in the book, you know, it set me back. Let me put it like this. Okay. About a decade later, I had a wonderful Rabbi Josh Uter. You know, this guy was brilliant, and he was funny, and it was full of jokes. And somehow he knew I made Mick Foley's mask. How? I don't know. You know, so after Friday night service, we were talking. We were walking away from Sean. I said, "Hey, if you ever see Mick, talk to him," because what he said was, you know, insulting.
Yeah.
You know, to not only me, but the Jewish people. And so Josh, like a year later, was moving to Israel, and he realized, oh my gosh, I'll never run into Mick. So he's an internet whiz and computer guy, and so he figured out how to contact Mick. So he had a chat with Mick online and said, "Hello, I'm Stanley's rabbi." And Mick responded, "Tell Stanley I apologize." Okay. So, you know, Mick generally apologized, but he kind of mixed things up, and he apologized for calling me short, which he never mentioned short, you know, in the book. And he mentioned something else, you know, and it's like, you know, although, you know, Mick is like 5'8", 5'9" or something. I'm 6'2", you know. So, you know, unless Mick is wearing high heels and platform shoes, then we're the same size. You know, it's but that was tough, you know.
Yeah, understandably.
You know, it's like, you know, it's like, okay, I did all this shit. You're making all this money. Now, I say, and I said this in that interview that nobody will ever hear, you know, that you can, that I doubt if Mick was the editor. The book is published by the World Wrestling Federation. Who edits the book? World Wrestling Federation. I don't know if Mick wrote those words or the editor wrote those words. Whoever the editor was, I doubt if the editor was Simon and Schuster or the Little Brown or some other or the Drama Bookshop. No, it was, you know, it's like they would have flagged that, you know, say, hey, do you really mean this? You know, and the other thing he mentions about is the smelly mask and how it's typed. Well, yeah, you put it in the bag with your wrestling clothes that you just finished wrestling in and zip it up. Yeah, it's going to smell, you know, and it's like, talk to your wife. She puts baking soda, you know, in the fridge so it doesn't smell. You know, you could have opened a pack of baking powder and maybe that soda, that would have absorbed some of the smell, you know. It's like, or if he kept the original bag I made for him. You know, yes, it was big, but it worked. You know, it's like, you know, and when you know, I have a New York Baroque dance company, you know, tours internationally. They were my first real client, you know. They ordered a set of Commedia dell'arte masks from me that I designed for them. And the deal I made with them is I'll design the mask and make them. If they work, you pay me. If they don't, you don't have to, you know. And they worked. That was in 1980. 2 summers ago, I called Catherine Tarosi, you know, because I wanted to quote from this photo that I was going to use on my website. And she says, "Oh, you'll never guess where I am. I'm in Long Island. I'm directing Pygmalion. I have your Arlecchino mask with me." You know?
Wow.
Okay. She's still using the masks today because she cares for them.
Yeah.
Well, so care for your masks. You know, when somebody makes, if it's me or if it's the S&M people or if it's even if it's a rubber latex mask, take care of it and it will last a lot longer. Yeah. You know, but as far as, you know, that side of it, it's disappointing. But hopefully, I hope that there's some lessons learned. And there might not be, you know, but hopefully some will be, you know. But it's for all the energy I put in, and like this isn't just the WWE, you know, in the entertainment world, because of the ego stuff that can be involved. Sometimes people feel that the only thing that matters is them, and they created. Remember, at the beginning, I talked about the power of the stage, the power of the arena, how it's a drug.
Yeah.
How it doesn't ground you, you know, that, you know, all the people that helped create the mask or whatever it is that helps free you and makes your performance, you know, or forgotten, you know, I've done things where I say, "Hey, excuse me, where's my credit in the program?" My next gig comes from people seeing something I've made and go and being able to know who made it.
Yeah.
That's where my next gig comes from. When that doesn't happen, you know, and Mick has great stories about the making process, things that I said to him, the guy on the bus in Japan, you know, it's like, really, really cool stories, you know, nowhere to be found, you know, so I think Mick's embarrassed, you know, but that's good because he knows there's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. He just doesn't know how to fix it. Okay. You know, but you know, it's like, but yeah, that's, you know, and out of the 360 page book or whatever it is, 390, you know, to have like two paragraphs on me, you know, and complain, you know. Oh, and he only mentions my first name and not my company name. So somebody who was looking for me would have to go through every Stanley in every phone book in the United States, you know, you know, but it's stuff like that is like, and that could have been the WWE, not Mick.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, and he told Mick this, you know, because I have friends that have written books and there's editors and, you know, and editors want to change things. And I assume that WWE editors have free range to change things.
I would expect so.
Yeah. So that's the book, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have any other questions about it, you know, feel free to ask, you know. But you know, it's.
Well, not to sort of digress back to a different topic, but it's what I've been sort of thinking about was you mentioned Chris Park and obviously the mask for Abyss, and I've been sat thinking about it because you mentioned obviously that he had to send the bust in, so your interaction obviously was very different when it comes to creating his mask. I just wondered how sort of does that make the process a lot harder in terms of like, because obviously the communication's a little bit different when it comes to getting to know his character and how to sort of create that mask for him?
No, because of at the time I had Skype working, so I would Skype with Chris often. Okay, and we had Skype sessions, we had phone conversations, and you know, Chris is also a writer. You know, he for TNT, he was writing as well as performing. So he was writing, you know, the script when he performed here in New York. I went to see him, and he gave me some tickets. he wanted to hang out, but he says, I can't because I have to write tomorrow's show or next week's show, or, okay. I learned how to do this without, in-person visits. Okay. Yeah. There are some things that are good, and a final fitting is always handy. But with Chris Park, he put it on, he did the fitting, and I think there's some small thing, and I told him how to adjust it. I says, no, I'd like you to. And so he shipped the mask back to me. I made the small adjustment in like 10 or 20 minutes,
Yeah.
And I shipped it back to him, and he said, oh, this is perfect, But that's how the long distance thing, when I can't do in person.
Yeah.
But so if it wasn't for technology, it'd be a lot harder.
No, of course, yeah.
But what really helped is, all the online video that I have access to, especially for the fitting process.
Yeah.
And to find if something's a little off, and the only thing there is FedEx makes a little more money, unless you send it UPS or USPS. But I usually go FedEx,
Yeah.
That on the international side as well, Yeah. I used to send USPS all the time, and then what politicians can do to a postal system is tragic. Okay, let me put it like that. And shipping to the UK is just weird. Okay, it's just weird because you can't take insurance out on anything anymore. I used to be able to send out Priority Express and take insurance. No, now you can only get it on Super Global Express, the most expensive, and there's something called the VAT tax. Which is basically adds like 25%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Including on the postage, Let me tell you, UK fans, UK wrestlers, it's cheaper to fly visit me in New York. Okay. It actually is. Okay.
I mean, I'd say good arenas and to have a trip to New York as well, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's like, hey, a trip to New York is great. Prices, flights are cheap, especially in COVID time. And there's some good hotel deals here in New York now as well.
Absolutely. Do you still follow the wrestling product at all, Stanley? I mean, there's not been, we spoke about kind of the kind of flat line of, gimmick is the wrong word to use, but in terms of characters and stuff today, but there's one or two. So like the Fiend, I don't know whether you've seen him kind of crop up, but he's like got like a full latex, like horror style mask in the wrestling business. Yeah. But do you follow it today? Have you seen any?
Well, I do not follow it. I tune in once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like I know the guy with the rubber latex mask, and how the hell does he wrestle in that thing? I'm not rubber latex. A rubber latex can shift around. The fact that he made that work and he's making that work for him, I give whoever made it great credence. And bravo. That he's able to wrestle in that mask and make it work. Because I know what it's like working in a latex mask, and it's like a sauna, It's like a nice sauna, But the fact that he's able to make it work, is great. But again, that can be the drug of the energy. You get past stuff because it's your character, and this is how to make it work. And my understanding is after uh, uh, Ron Simmons turquoise helmet,
Incident.
you know, you know, and maybe probably after uh, uh, Kane, the WWE changed their policy. They could have changed it again. But I was told that, now the individual wrestlers are totally responsible for their look and their ward costume and coming up with it. Okay. So that was a change I understood that was made, or I was told it was made by the women that replaced Judy. But I think that may have affected things, for the good and the bad. So somebody with the rubber latex mask, he doesn't have access to the information that Judy had. He doesn't have access or even know about the theatrical source book, where Judy found me, which Judy had. So you work with what you got, and he was able to find in his probably locality somebody that did this, and for the mask maker who made that, what a thrill,
Oh yeah,
great, it's a thrill that this other mask maker was able to make that rubber latex mask, and it's successful, great. And one good thing about rubber latex, they're easily replaceable. It's easy to cast another rubber latex mask.
Yeah.
Coloring is a sensitive thing. Coloring is technically, because you're mixing paint with the latex. Specific type of paints, and especially coloring agents, and so you do a lot of mixing, and testing colors and stuff.
So you obviously you still sort of keep a bit of an eye on the current product, but are you, in terms of the work you're doing with the masks, is there anything, are you still sort of working in the world of wrestling when it comes to some of your mask work?
I am in a conversation with a young lady in Pennsylvania about making her mask, and if it works out, then this will be the first mask I will make, pro wrestling mask I will make for a woman. I'm not sure which. We have to. The conversations just started.
Yeah, of course.
Started happening, but there is actually a UK fellow who I made a mask for a couple years ago. And he also ordered a performing slapstick. Do you know what a performing slapstick is?
Thanks to your website, yes.
Oh yes, thanks to my website, yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he bought one of those, and he's decided to go back to college and finish his degree in something, and then wrestle, but he also took Commedia dell'arte classes from me, private online Commedia dell'arte performance classes, all last summer.
Brilliant.
And he has Arlecchino's kick down. There's a certain type of kick, and which he's made his own, and it's like he has that down pat. I mean, and nobody in the wrestling world does it. Okay. So yeah, I'm still in touch in the wrestling world. I'm still making masks. Obviously COVID has made everything weird. Okay? And I just finished a mask for a storyteller of a golden eagle mask. That he's going to tell stories in. I made an S&M horse head for a company, XIV Dance Inc., which is a Baroque burlesque dance theater company, and the horse head, it's an S&M horse head. It doesn't look like a real horse stuck on a guy's head.
Yeah.
It is designed so give the feeling and the energy of the horse. Somebody said it's one of the finest masks I've made. But it's great. It's horse hardware and S&M hardware combined. Okay. It sold out the Meadow Lane Theater for 3 months straight. Which is a 500 something theater for 90 seat house, a ballet company. So he was able to do ballet in the mask, complete with spins. So a ballet dancer, a pro wrestler, an opera singer, all have similar issues. Okay, the mask can't wander around on them. It has to stay solid. They have to see. They have to be able to breathe. And I gave him these huge horse nostrils. And I have a friend, David Geyer, who is in the performing world, and his wife likes horses, so they have a horse ranch too. So I called up David, and he gave me all kinds of horse advice about the big jowls, and when you feed a horse, a carrot, you don't feed it like this, because a carrot, a finger, the horse doesn't know the difference. You always feed it flat-handed. Okay, but he gave me real good advice. Again, learning about the energy that you're making. So yeah, I'm and I still do lots of sets of commedia dell'arte masks for schools and universities and for
amazing.
A potential order from Texas, although it's a little frozen over at the moment. It's beginning to thaw out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect a call from them for like a week, for another week or so. Plumbing issues and burst pipes and
Yeah, can't blame you for that.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, probably the last one from me is for any aspiring kind of mask makers out there, or what advice do you have, and how can they kind of get into this business?
Well, I've no qualms about teaching what I do. So if any mask makers aspiring want to, I do take on private clients, private students. If they are interested in exclusively making pro wrestling masks, well, start making, start creating, start discovering, start learning. I had the advantage when I studied in Paris to make a livelihood, because basically, I ended up in Paris with even $100 in my pocket. Okay, just enough to pay for school. I cashed in my airline ticket home and paid for the first year, and so I had to somehow make a living. So I ended up posing for the master sculpture class at Beaux-Arts, which is one of the finest art schools in the world. So I was posing for the top sculpture class, for 2 years, and I learned a lot about molding and mold separation and mold making and casting and sculpture from watching as they sculpted me. And there's sculptures, some sculptures of me, somewhere in students' Paris or art studios of me in my birthday day suit posing, So, I'm a little skinnier, Okay, but so I'd say go to art school, go to a school where you can learn that, or go to the art supply store. If you're in New York, Complete Sculpture has classes, that anyone can take, in dealing with materials and mask making and stuff. And if there's students out there that are interested in going into mask making, well, there's several worlds. There's what I do. Very few people know I'm self-taught. So I discovered a lot of stuff, but I also traded techniques and tips and secrets with leather workers from around the world, because there happened to be 2 international leather arts and crafts conferences that I was involved with. So I got a lot of info, and we were sharing info and tricks and different things. But it's, if you want to work with leather, it's knowing what to buy, what to use, tools, and a lot of times you have to make your tools. I make a lot of my tools. There is several workshops, around Europe. I have some mask making friends in Europe. The mask making community in Europe is very strong, and there's a lot, if anybody is in Paris, I can give you the name of a friend in Paris, that can study. You can study basic leather molding stuff. Their leather molding and my leather molding is different, though. How I leather is like, my leather can accept more colors, more shades, more dyes than theirs. So it's because of how my process. But there's so many little things. When I teach, I forget how many dollars worth of tools that I have. Just amazing. You need something for some specific project. I needed a real compass. That would extend like this. So I went online, and I found a store that had it. I can go buy it now, and luckily I got a 50 or 25% off coupon too. So, but it's you have an idea, do it. Start playing. Make mistakes, and understand that not succeeding is not an error; it's a learning opportunity. It's like it's like Israel. Everybody was selling Israel tanks, but nobody was delivering the tanks. Even though Israel paid for the tanks, they wouldn't deliver them. So Israel got pissed off. And so what's in the Middle East? Lots of bombed out tanks. So what they did is they kept on taking apart other people's tanks and putting together and making tanks, And so they basically learned everybody else's tank by, scrapping together. And then they said, okay, we're tired. We're going to design our own tank. And the first casting they did came out like Swiss cheese. Did they give up? No. They said, okay, we learned this, and this. Well, we know not to do this again. Let's try this. It's so and they eventually developed, a tank, and the most valuable part of a tank is the engine for most countries. In Israel, the most valuable part of the tank is not the engine, it's the people inside. So instead of putting the engine in the back, they put it in the front. And they say, oh, we can put it in a back door. Cool. We can pick up wounded. Okay. Okay. Mars lander that just landed on Mars. Same thing. They do things, they test things, test fail. It's like Musk, SpaceX shot off a Mars rocket. It went so far up and then it blew up. And the SpaceX team said, oh, this is great. We learned so much from this. They didn't look at it as a failure. So oftentimes in the education system, that can be really fucked up. We see failure. But you see, the things that succeed are the people that don't see failure in something. When they fail, it's not a failure. It's what did I learn? Or what did we learn from this that we will not do again? Which is really cool. So it's
it's a learning experience.
Yeah. So it's an adventure. It's like, it's the road. So I'm quoting some famous person. I'm sorry, whoever it is. but it's the road getting there that's important, and who you pass, and the choices you make on that road, and not to fear, So that's part of it, So yeah.
Brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I think that's pretty much for our questions. That's pretty much it. What we always like to do towards the end is obviously to ask if firstly if there's anything you'd like to promote or anything along that line, and also if you could offer sort of how people can follow what you're currently doing, any websites, social media, anything along that lines as well.
Yeah, okay. My website is maskarts.com, and it's out of date. I'm looking for a webmaster. If there's any webmasters that, it's like, I have Mask Arts NYC on Facebook, and there's a lot of stuff on there that's not on my website. I don't pay as much attention to it as my normal Stanley Allan Sherman Facebook, but
yeah, of course, yeah.
I do have a Mask Arts Instagram that I ignore. I have a Twitter that I totally ignore. Once in a while, I keep on trying to get back in the habit of posting stuff. But one thing is, like with pro wrestling masks or the Golden Eagle mask or other masks, I'm making them for performers. So I finish the work, but I can't post it because the performer hasn't debuted.
Yeah, of course. So you need to sort of
I always wait till the performer debuts before I post anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just like, the deal. Like, yes, this is your image, so I promise not to make copies unless you want me to. Okay, yeah. I only make a copy for you if you want to sell these. If we want to sell these as souvenirs, and you get a big chunk, we can. It's like I can make copies of the Abyss mask, and Chris Park would get a nice piece.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I can't make copies of the Mankind mask. Okay.
Yeah.
Although you can buy them on Etsy for $150. Bad copies.
Knockoffs.
Knockoff. Bad knockoffs. But I hope they're making a good living. And I posted on my website all the different pieces, so people could make their own copy.
Love it.
Okay. Part of my educating, so I'm glad the Mankind people are making a living off the Mankind mask, or I'm helping them to. They can feel free for any of them to send me a royalty check, a surprise royalty. And actually, some people actually do. Some performers and companies have actually sent me surprise royalty checks years later.
Wow.
It's like, I gave him a great deal in a hard time, it's like good things come back,
I like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a surprise. No, it's maskarts.com, my email is acting a little weird. I have to buckle down and figure out, what's going on. So if you get a reject, don't worry. I'm going through this spam folder, and eventually you'll put you on the white list. But it's that, and you can contact me through Facebook. If you do the Twitter, I probably won't see it. Okay,
Yeah.
Instagram I might, but I'm trying to do more, but
Yeah.
you're busy involved. But that's basically how to. Or you can give me a call. My phone number is on my website. Give me a call on the, or set up a Zoom session.
Exactly.
A Zoom or a Facebook Live, or I'm on Linux, and since Microsoft bought Skype, it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
So kind of dead. I get updates that don't work with it. But, yeah, but no, that's it. And I've actually had people just buzz my buzzer.
Really? That's one way.
Yeah. I this guy from Russia come and buzz my buzzer and order
Wow.
several masks from me. And,
Wow.
shipping was a deal. Was an adventure.
I can imagine. No.
He said, no, don't ship them to Russia. They'll never arrive. They'll be stolen. So I ended up shipping them to Little Odessa in Brooklyn, which has some of the best food. It's like some of the freshest vegetables and fruits and fish, and wow, it's beautiful. So yeah, it's definitely worth coming to New York City. And if you guys ever come, you have to drop by the studio.
Absolutely. We'll be
that
one
would
of
be
those
amazing.
guys ringing the buzzer.
Yeah. I'll try to give you some of the tea that doesn't put you to sleep. Unless you want some of the other kind of tea, that's specialty. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you again so much, Stanley.
Yeah.
We honestly appreciate this. It's been absolutely wonderful. Just not only speaking to you, just learning just about like your craft.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Just what an awesome guy you are. Just the things you've done, and just thank you again.
Yeah.
We do appreciate
Well,
it.
this doesn't get into my performance adventures. That's I'll tell you, there's nothing like rolling a 20-foot joint, mime joint for a rock concert, during the intermission section, and then it's like 3/4 in to the band during a lull, they'll have some guy yelling, "Hey, where's that joint?"
Brilliant.
When I first came to New York, I performed on Wall Street, on the street, and one of the bits I did is I would put on an imaginary coat, like a mime coat, not a real coat, and I disappear into the crowd. I performed in front of the Federal Treasury Building, and I would stay out and I would flash women. Okay. And they go, and then they'd laugh, and then I said, oh, let's see what happens when you flash men. So I flashed men, and they would go, they would always check out. And suddenly they realized, oh my God, so it's like energy, timing pulls people in. So you create a world. So, my base is mime and clown. That's my base.
Yeah.
That's what I am. Okay. So I use that with the mask make, to put it all it's understanding energy and doing positive things with it, and it's like, laughter, making people laugh, is a blessed thing to do.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a pleasure talking with you folks, and
Likewise.
And the other thing, for all the mask makers and fans out there, it's fun making your own bread from scratch. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you create this whole, to quote John Lennon, it's like, and this was in an interview in Playboy magazine. I actually saved the interview, not the rest of the magazine, but the interview. And he talks about learning how to make bread, and you do all this energy, you put all this love and energy into it, and it's done, and you just eat it. You don't get a gold record, you don't get another $1 million, you don't get it. But to understand creation, learning how to make bread, helps understand creation.
Yeah.
Because you're creating something that's alive, and it grows in the yeast, and then you punch it down, and you do things with it, you form it, and then it smells wonderful, and then you get to eat it. Yes. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yes. So lots of love to all the wrestling world out there and otherwise, and have wonderful adventures. Okay, and remember, no fear. And that doesn't mean be stupid. Okay. Okay. But do things with fear, and what you're afraid of, that's the stuff you usually need to do.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Amazing.
Thank
Okay.
you again.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Stanley.
Really
Blessings.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care, Stanley. Thank you again.
Take care. Okay.